You need to
Don't
be
kill
doing
me,
this.
Kate, because I know how to get in.
Okay, I won't kill you. How's it going for you, Josh?
Probably on the other side, but you know what?
Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today, I have trolled my friend in Fortnite. So basically, we're all playing creative. I trolled him, so he thinks there's tons of glitches in BHE 1v1 build type. So I trolled him in it. Enjoy the video. Like and subscribe. 51% of the people that watch my videos are not subscribed. So subscribe. Thank you. Bye.
Wait,
right.
Can you not kill me? Because I'm going to go to settings and change my controls.
No, you can actually get to it, Josh. I was trolling you. You can actually get to it.
How?
You grapple it, but you were doing it a bit wrong. Because basically, you have to grapple it, but only that little bit, so you don't tick the max height bit. If you keep grappling directly under it, it will glitch you on top of it.
Yeah, I need to know because I saw it.
Or just watch this, Josh.
Okay,
There's
right
another way
next
to
to
glitch out of the actual map itself. Ready, watch.
We need to get in there. Wait a minute, Alfie, I think I know.
I accidentally shot. Didn't hit you. Good.
Wait, it's surrounded by a box. Wait, Alfie, I think I know.
Nice.
Wait, Alfie, don't. I know. Alfie, you keep distracting me.
Right, just do my glitch quickly then.
No, I think I actually have an idea.
Wait, let me show you my glitch, because I actually do have a proper good glitch. You about to do it?
What?
You're about to do it? You're actually about to make it, Josh. Well done. Right, Josh. Look.
Wait, what's your glitch?
Just don't knock builds down. Follow me. So there's a way. So you know you can't go out. There's a way to get out the map, basically. But you know at the end there's like an invisible death barrier.
Uh-huh.
There is actually a way you can beat that death barrier.
What is that supposed to be?
So you know there's a death barrier. I actually do have a
No,
way.
but what is this supposed to be? I just got teleported back.
No, don't touch the ground. I've got a fly that refuses to leave me alone. Just come to me, jeez. How hard is it to
Wait a
come
minute,
to
what
me?
is that?
Not really. You just keep going. So keep building until you see a yellow thing. When you see a yellow barrier bit, just tell me. I'm not going to knock you down. I've got my pickaxe out. Look, build materials out. Right, so you see the death barriers here. Can't build past it, can you?
No, actually. No, look. Yeah, you can. Wait a minute. You have to get like. Oh, there we go. There we go. I built past it. I'm building past it. Don't worry. Wait a minute. I'm building past it. Wait a minute. What was that for? I'm trapped. Stop trapping me, please.
Alright. No, there actually is a way to build past it.
You did this. There is a way to go past it if you follow me. It's not a death barrier.
No, but when you walk through it, look what happens. Walk through it and look what happens.
No, you look what happens.
No, because I know what happens, because I've done it multiple times.
Do it.
No.
One eternity later.
You had to rejoin the map, didn't you?
Mhm. And now I've lost all my weapons and everything. Thanks to you. I didn't know that would reset all the builds up to there.
Right, follow me, follow me. Get your fly hacks back.
You should walk out the map and get your fly hacks back.
No, because I can't get my fly hacks back.
What?
I can't get my hacks back.
You can if you restart yours.
You can't fly anymore because you killed other players. You didn't actually kill anyone, so that's why you still have your hacks. Right, go up to max height, because you can actually get to max height.
Wait a minute. Look, this will be quicker for me to build it. Look. Yeah, shall I build to the end?
Yeah.
And you follow?
Yeah, I will. I'm just gonna have my milkshake.
Right. Oh, I just came off accidentally. Did you just die? Stop it, Alfie.
Okay, sorry.
Alfie!
That was, I had to. I tagged you, so I had to finish you.
This is just too good, guys. This is
I won't kill you
hilarious.
again. I won't kill you again. Josh, you're AFK. Don't going AFK. I'm not gonna shoot you. I just want to do this glitch. Come on, let's do this glitch. Josh, I actually know how to do it as well. Where are you?
Dead. You thought I was there.
Where have you gone?
Here. Building. Look, I've just built all the way over here.
Tell me if you're seeing this bullet. Oh, you're there!
Yes, you see me.
Josh! Let's do this. I heard there's a new YouTube video going up on my channel. A couple of new YouTube videos. It's not gone live yet. I have to
What, a
finish
DJ stream?
No, I just have to finish editing my YouTube video.
We're at the end, bruv. Actually, I do know how to get out of the world. I actually have a really good idea.
So you know,
Let me
I'm,
mind
you
you
know
up
I'm
on
in
the
Static
position.
Clan, Josh.
Yeah? You know static spam, yeah.
Why am I meant to be in it?
Why are you meant to be in?
Yeah.
Because you're deputy. And you're like a clan member, and it'll go back big once I've actually announced it on my Twitch channel. I do get big viewers.
You do realise someone has had Static Clan the name for 2 years?
Wait, why am I 90ing? I could just do this. Wait, we
Because you're
could
19.
go up to height limit, wouldn't we?
No, because this map has different height limits to what creative has.
Yeah, but does it have height limits here?
No.
I don't have any like stuff. I can just fly.
Yeah, you can fly. And you can say fly.
Oh, I found height limit. I found height limit.
Wait, you found height limit?
Mhm. But I had to restart. It restart the game for me. How do I need to get hacks back. Wait a minute. Okay. Oh, don't try shooting me because I'll get up to height limit again.
Right, come up to height limit. Tell me where it is. Build
Right.
up to where it is.
You build up to where it is. Don't try shooting me. What's your problem?
I'm only sniping.
Right, we either do duos or I'm even Fortnite because
Alright, just quickly show me how to do this glitch because I actually am interested. I'm not even joking, I am interested.
what glitch? To see height limit?
Yeah.
Height limit's right here. Oh no, it's not. Is it? Not sure. I'll go up to height limit. Stop pushing me.
I'm not, I'm building.
Don't build. Stop building.
Right, you just fell.
Height limit's here. Height limit's right there up to my building.
Right, juicy height.
Stop it.
PlayStation controllers are easy to shoot by accident. The sticks are really pointing out.
Not really, I have my controller in my hands. Stop trying to shoot! Or I'll break down your build and then you'll never see height limit again.
I jumped out of height limit.
No!
I jumped into height limit. Right, let's both go and get our weapons. Let's both go and get our hacks.
No, leave creative or I'm gonna get really bored.
Right.
And play Minecraft.
So yeah, everyone, thank you for watching the video, and as always, peace out.